Okay, hello and welcome. I'm Solly Goods from Adelaide in South Australia, actually the Barossa Valley, which is about an hour north of Adelaide in South Australia. And myself and some of my local friends, Linda Millay. Do you want to say hello, Linda, so people know who you are? Linda, yes. Juliana Clark.
Hi.
Juliana. And Christine Spencer. Hi, Christine.
Hi.
We've been invited by our friend Hannah Maria from Spain to co-create this 30-minute conversation about our Summer of Light World Peace Permaculture Community Food Forest pilot project that we've started together. So today's conversation forms a part of the Global Freedom Celebration Summit, which is happening over this weekend, which is launching our global growing freedom online community of conscious activists, which we hope is going to give us a for the people, by the people online community building and communications platform so that we can get off of Facebook and start fresh in, really actively and consciously building our freedom community, both locally and globally. So with the purpose of growing freedom in mind, we wanted to share about our community food garden project because food freedom really is freedom. And especially for those of us that are aware of the control agenda that is rolling out, part of the strategy to essentially blackmail people into getting the vaccine is that people will need to have a vaccine certification to prove you've been vaccinated to be able to access food through the corporate controlled food supply. So our freedom food gardens, really are critical to our freedom and our natural health and well-being going forward. So on this call, we're going to start with a conscious intention setting, which Christine will lead for us shortly. And then Linda's going to share a little bit of the background of how we came together and the project, how this came to be in the world. And then Juliana's going to share the vision for the garden, both a written one, which is being written by Barsha, who's one of our fellow co-creators as well, that couldn't join us today, and also in Juliana's own words. And then we're going to have a bit of a group discussion about what we've co-created in our working bees so far. And hopefully I can share some photos and we'll share what we've got planned next in our garden, and then wrap up with our hope for the ripple effect from our pilot project. So with all that ahead of us, I'm going to hand over to you, Christine, to please lead us in our conscious intention setting.
Namaste and hello everyone. Let's just take a breath together. So breathing in and out. Really feeling that breath in your body and breathing out. Enlivening, enriching, and encompassing. Now, picture an old wise tree as we're breathing. One that has been here longer than any of us. How good does it feel to capture the greatness? Breathe in the essence of the tree. Feeling the stability of the trunk. Grounded, solid, and alive. And feel the connection to the earth. And really feel or imagine the networks of the roots that are creating pathways for nourishment in the earth. Just breathing that in. Now visualize the branches and the leaves sheltering, shading, and expanding. Feeling the flow and the movement, the expansion and the dance. Feel the lightness. So whenever we're feeling off center, we can remember this moment of the tree essence. So just coming back to your breath and just opening your eyes. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Christine. I really, feel the beauty and the wisdom and the freedom and the grounded connection of the beautiful, wise tree. And the connectedness of all of life, the tree of life, that we're all connected through this beautiful tree of life. Thank you. And now, if you would be so kind, Linda, to share a little bit about the background of us, as a co-creative collective, and how this came to be, how we started and how it's evolved.
Sure. Thank you, Solly. Thank you, Christine. That was lovely. Okay, so Solly and I connected late last year, and we did a deposition to our local council about the dangers of 5G. We actually connected through the Stop 5G Adelaide group or Australia group, and we struck up a friendship from there. And come, what was it, March, when COVID hit, I think it took us a couple of weeks to realise this was a very coordinated pandemic. And on Facebook, just trying to point that out to everyone, it was a battle, and it's still a battle. And it's very easy to get caught up in that negative drama. But Solly one day sent me this lovely Facebook page from a lady called Hannah Marie. And it was like an instant yes, like, we need to be involved in this Summer of Light. We need to bring some positive to the earth, some action, pro-action, and looking through Hannah Marie's suggestions and what we could do. First thing we did was start up a Facebook group and invited all our awake type friends, ones that are looking for the positive in life. And then we had to have action. So a few of us gathered and had a visioning circle. So we all put forward ideas on how to build a community, and how to get people involved. And at that stage, it was quite hard because we were under lockdown and we weren't meant to be going anywhere or doing anything. So we had to play the game, so to speak. But one of the major idea that came up was the permaculture garden. So basically us nourishing the earth and the earth nourishing us back, and everyone coming together and building some type of community. And that's my view on what's happened. I don't know if anyone else has got anything to say, as in how we all connected.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much, Linda. I think that's a very accurate recount of sort of how we came to be where we're at. So from that visioning circle, it really was a co-creative spark, primarily from my cousin's wife, Barsha, who has a major passion for permaculture and has been practicing it in her own life and her own garden for a long time. And, you know, wanting to be able to share her passion and her knowledge with more people to help people feel empowered to start planting and not be afraid of just getting food into the ground. And also with Juliana, who has also got the passion for not just food gardening, but food, plant medicine, natural medicine. So between Barsha and Juliana, there was that real spark. And also Christine had a connection with the place, Riverdale Spiritual Centre, which has ultimately been the place that has welcomed us in to bring new life to an existing community garden space that had sort of just been sitting and needed some fresh love. So I'm going to hand over to Juliana now to be able to share the vision as written by Barsha, who couldn't be here, and to also share from your heart, Juliana, you know, in your own words, if you would please.
Okay, thanks, Solly. Yeah, so as Solly said, Barsha is a big inspiration to us all with her permaculture knowledge and experience, and I know we're all learning lots about it. So, and she's written her vision, which resonates with all of us, and so yeah, I'll share that here now. So my vision for the Summer of Light garden is the same as my vision for the world. It is a vision that is not only in line with the wonderful ethics of permaculture, but that of my faith in a divine creator whose wonderful creation surrounds us and permeates everything and everyone. I see us faithfully and steadily treading towards a world where land ownership, which is the cause of all iniquity in the world, will become a thing of the past, and all land will once again become common. There will no longer be hunger, depravity, and violence, because all will have access to shelter, clean food, clean water, and fresh air. And all of Earth's abundant resources will no longer be fought over. First, we must recognise that we are but guests in our divine Creator's garden, and that all that is here is not ours, but it is our privilege and our duty to enjoy and to care for it while we are here. Imagine a world where wars no longer exist, where there is no need for governments, police, legal systems, dirty cities, and all that we consider necessary in a world that governs through fear and force. But instead, let's imagine a world where there is a meaningful purpose for everyone. One large garden where all can find shelter, family amongst their brothers and sisters, love, food, and a sense of purpose. A place where all of our individual gifts can be expressed through love and desire for the common good. This is not a dream. This is the world that is coming, and it starts with us. Today, we are oftentimes too concerned with the overwhelming state of the world and its fate, and how we can solve all of its immense problems. Sometimes we forget that the most important thing to do is to change the one single thing we know we can change, ourselves. So it is my hope for this little garden that it will serve as a refuge for us, for those seeking rest, and as an inspiration for many more projects like it in the wider community, with abundant food, inviting places to gather, warm and inviting people, welcoming all to join them. Let's make this an example of our Creator's divine garden and what we wish for the world to be. So That's beautiful. Thank you, Basia. And yeah, so like I said, that all resonates with all of us, and as we all know, we're all connected. People, plants, animals, the whole planet, the universe, we're all connected and we're all one. And it's about, you know, this is the time that we're coming together and, you know, away from the separateness that has been installed in the world. And I guess that's what this garden means to me, is to help that the connections between people, also between plants and between people and plants, and it's just going to, you know, spread from there. And so, I mean, I guess personally, I've always been interested in health, health of people, plants, and all together. And I know, as we know, plants have walked with mankind for forever, and they talk to us, and hence when we grow food, when we grow plants are not just food for our bodies, but they give us information about our environment. They help us as a species to survive, and not only that, they give us their energetic information and love and inspiration. And I guess the purpose of us connecting together is to share that inspiration, share the knowledge, and that is already happening as we see it.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much, Juliana. And there is wisdom and life force, and not only physical nutrition, but spiritual nourishment in our connection with the garden, with the soil, with the, you know, the living ecosystem that we are part of. And the garden does give us a whole body, real world sensory experience of that. It immerses us in our connection. And yeah, I think we have so far, we made our plan for our garden. We found the place for our garden, thanks to Christine, who is part of the Riverdale spiritual community. So she made an introduction for us, and we were invited then to come into their existing garden space so that we could reinvigorate it. And we have had 2 working bees so far. So we're just going to have a little bit of a discussion about those working bees and what we've achieved and experienced in the garden space so far. And I'm going to attempt to do a bit of screen sharing so I can hopefully share some of our photos. And if everyone would like to just kind of share some commentary on, firstly of all, I'll bring up some photos from the first working bee. Here it is. So, Christine, would you mind just sort of telling us a little bit about the place, Riverdale, and where these photos are taken?
There was an existing orchard on the property. It's a 10-acre property that's been running for 40 years, but it did need some extra love, like Solly said earlier, and it's really exciting to learn how to plant a fruit tree and a nut tree really well, so it's got a great stable base to come to fruit. So I've learned a lot just in planting a tree. So this day was wonderful. It's been very hot on the days that we have got together here. Is that enough, Solly? How much more?
Yeah, that's
I mean,
great.
I don't know where to start. There's so much to share.
Yeah, how about you, Linda? Any reflections on our first working bee?
I remember it being really hot, and I
Mm.
remember thinking, how are you going to get enough water to these poor plants? But then understanding permaculture, because I don't know much about gardening, realizing that we're giving them that foundation, like Christine said, to be able to hold on to the water that they do get and still thrive. There's a lot to understand about permaculture, and I'm still learning. I'm very still beginner level. I just remember it being really hot and thinking, oh wow, is this going to be successful? But then Marcia seemed to think it was a perfect place. So yeah, it is a perfect place too. When you look at it, how could it not succeed?
Yeah, that's on the screen at the moment, in the straw hat and the red shirt with the wheelbarrow full of the soil improver mix. That is Barsha. We can't see her face. She's very mysterious.
She does exist.
But yeah, really, she's done so much hands-on, practical, putting things into the ground that she has developed ways to really support the plants in giving them the best possible start, and also be able to support them in, you know, the most abundant growth in the shortest space of time possible too. So we planted, I think, there would have been at least 20, possibly a few more, but 20 fruit and nut trees throughout the whole of the community garden space that we're working on. And what it is that we're developing over time is a food forest. So we put in the trees, firstly of all, and we have now got irrigation to those trees that we've planted, so they are getting a drink. But what will happen as we develop the garden going forward is we'll go in and we'll do understory planting. So around the, you know, the trees, there will be, what are they called? Who can help me out? Guilds? They're called guilds. There'll be guilds of shrubs and herbs and vegetables, and ultimately it will become like a food producing ecosystem. And the idea with the permaculture principles is to really develop the garden in such a way with a view to long-term productivity, but also that everything that we plant is complementary to each other. So all of the things support each other in really, you know, maintaining the health of the soil and bringing in the beneficial insects and having natural ways to manage the predatory bugs and the things that will actually eat our crops, so that we can look after the garden without having to use any poisons. This is a poison-free zone, which, you know, is really important when we're going to be eating this food, and, you know, these plants are going to be our medicine. We want to make sure that it's as clean and natural as it possibly can be. How about you, Juliana? Any reflections on the first working bee?
Yeah, well, I was astounded at with all the people that came, which was probably about 20, 25 people, if I remember rightly, that how much we got done with just doing a little bit each, and then all the rest was making connections with each other, and also learning, just like Christine said, just merely about how to plant a tree and just sharing our little bits of knowledge with each other was just, it was exponential in knowledge. Yeah. And also the connections gained from each other are really strong, and it feels really good.
Yes, I totally agree. And there's a photo on the screen of Janelle and her two children from Green Life Nursery, and she was kind enough to sponsor us. So she's a local small business, a nursery, And so she partnered to support our community garden project by making a lot of the trees available to us at wholesale, which was, you know, very generous. And all of those acts of kindness and generosity, you know, come together to, you know, like really create this abundance in the space where it feels joyful and it feels kind of effortless, even though we're all there and we're all working up a sweat, we're all working hard. It's actually a joy to be there and do it. It doesn't feel hard or laborious. It feels like having some fun with my friends.
And
which is,
yeah, Solly, can I just say that and from this I'm looking forward, and when we do grow our own food, there's other ways of connecting, like teaching people how to cook and preserve, and you know, there's a lot of skills out there in our community that it's really good to have this connecting point where we can expand on not just growing the food, you know, sharing it, and then, you know, more from that.
That is an art, isn't it, that has been lost, like your preservation of food and even cooking. Like, how much of the newer generations can't even cook properly without opening a tin or a jar, or like it is getting to basics.
absolutely. So I've just changed Pinterest boards. So now we've got a few photos from our second working bee, and just to let people know, at the second working bee we had a plant share and swap, a seed and plant share and swap, so people could bring along what we had, you know, excess of in our garden or in our seed bank at home and share that. And we also set up our worm farm, which was great. We had an old fridge that Christine was able to source for us, and everything was donated for the worm farm, which was fantastic, even the worms. And Juliana spoke to us a little bit about you know, the medicinal values of some of the plants that we had in the garden. We had a delicious lunch, which is, you know, a really important part of community building as well. When we do the work together and then we share a meal together, I think that really, you know, builds our connectivity. So with all of that in mind, I'm aware of the time, ladies, and our half an hour has flown. We're coming to the end of that time. So I want to just give everyone, you know, a few moments to talk about where we're going from here in our garden, and also in our hope for what we really would love for our garden to inspire in the world. Would you like to go first, Linda?
Inspire in the world. They're big words. Many hands make light work. And community. We all have to get back to community, because where we live and where we play and where we eat and where we work, that's a foundation. That's what we have to build. And I'm really excited actually to see those trees grow and know that they're going to be nourishing my grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Do you know that to me, knowing that we've left something for those kids to eat is exciting.
Beautiful. Thank you. Who would like to go next?
I will.
Thank you.
Well, I'm excited by you know, people just coming to, say, sit in the garden and be nourished by the energy of the garden, and, you know, a place to just reconnect with themselves, and also the fitness. You know, working in the garden creates fitness, and there's so many little areas that can nourish us through this garden. So I feel like it's a real fertile place that we're planting all these different seeds, and they're, you know, they're sort of in the darkness at the moment. Some things are growing, but I think it's so exciting having this beginning stage happen. So I really appreciate the connection with each of you and what we've achieved so far.
Yes, go us. Woohoo! Thank you,
Yeah.
Christine. And how about for you, Juliana?
Okay, I'm excited about this garden, bringing people together and, like I said, sharing that knowledge, because you can read all you like, you can study all you like, but it's just sometimes that confidence to go that next step to do it yourself in your garden and grow your own food and etc. And I feel that this will help. Well, it's helping me. It will help everybody to have the confidence to go that next step to actually make it happen. And then when we do grow our own food and grow our own medicine, and we can look after ourselves, and we don't need to rely on the big corporations, you know, it's empowering, and we will change the world.
We're already doing it. The trees are growing right now. So we are at the end of our half an hour. So thank you very much, my fellow co-creators and my gardeners. I think I feel this has given me, when I am sad and overwhelmed with all of the things that I can't do anything about that are going on, the garden that we can get together and work on together gives me hope. And I'm so grateful for that. And likewise, the growing freedom community that Henna and her friends are working on in the background is also something that is so needed for us to be able to continue to build our community connections and support what we're doing locally, but remain connected to our freedom community globally as well. So thank you to Henna as well for her inspiration. And we hope to be able to connect with some of you that have tuned in to listen today through the new Growing Freedom community when it's up and running for us. So that's us for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you.